Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the wonderful people of Nevis, those of St. Christopher, those who are listening all across the Caribbean. Good evening to friends and family in Saba, Stacia, Anguilla, in Montserrat, those in Sunshine City, St. Martin, those in Rock City, St. Thomas, those in St. Croix, those in St. John, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, Tortola, those in Puerto Rico, those who are listening in Barbados and Trinidad and Jamaica, where we know they have election counting going on right now, Guyana, wherever you are, those in the United States of America, our friends and family in Canada, and of course across the ocean in the United Kingdom. My name is Mark Brantley and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. We're going to be here with you, God willing, for 2 hours. We're going to take your calls, we're going to discuss what's going on the island of Nevis and engage. I like to think that this is one of the best shows, if not the best show in the region. The reason I say that is because it is the only show that I'm aware of, certainly in the Federation, which is commercial free. That is made possible through the generosity over the last 2 decades of the law firm of Daniel Brantley. They pay the bills so that we can stay on air and have a discussion with you, the members of the public. I'm going to update you on a few matters and, of course, invite your calls. Your calls are an important part of this show, and so I welcome one and all to On the Mark. Now, let me start out by saying to you that yesterday afternoon, just after 4 p.m., I was called by one of my colleagues to say that the bailiff of the High Court was looking for me. He was downstairs, and I said no problem. I packed up, I went downstairs, and he served on me a letter from lawyers. It is signed by a signature that I do not recognize, but it says it is signed for Patrice Nisbet, my friend, former NRP candidate and Attorney General. But the letter really doesn't sound like Patrice Nisbet, who I know to be very learned in the law. But when I read the letter, I had pause. But it says it's signed for him, on his behalf. So I could only assume, therefore, that it is his letter. But I read the letter and I laughed, to be quite honest with you. Not to laugh at counsel, but to laugh at the contents of the letter. This letter came from Janice Daniel Hodge, the leader of NRP, who claims that I would have defamed her. The contents of the letter I won't get into because, of course, the lawyers will deal with that. I just want to say to the members of the public that I have been a lawyer for over 3 decades. Maybe a little rusty now because, of course, I put down the law and took up the politics. But I'm not so rusty as not to understand the law of defamation. And I have prided myself on the fact that in all the years that I have been here on radio, in all the years that I've been in public life, no one has ever successfully sued me for any defamatory statement. You know why? Because any time I make a statement, I have my receipts to support that. And just for the edification of the public, when young people say they have receipts, what they mean is they have the evidence to support what they're saying. That's what receipts means. And so, that's what the young people tell me, and I believe that I agree with them, that that is how you use that word receipt. Now, that aside for the moment, I have taken the decision, ladies and gentlemen, not about me, but I understand that being here on VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, is a privilege. It is a privilege that has been accorded to me by Weber Herbert, and I value that privilege. I do not take it for granted. It is not easy to operate any business, far less this type of business, where you basically put yourself at risk. Because if the wrong thing is said on the airways, you can be sued, you can become the subject or target of those who want to shut you down. And I'm aware that as part of this effort, it seems, to stifle discussions of what I think now is the most topical issue on the island, an issue of land and who's selling land and who's benefiting from the sale of lands, that Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, by this lawyer letter, it is my respectful view that she's trying to shut down the discussions of that matter. I have taken the view that I will not say anything further on that matter using this medium of One Radio. I understand and know very well how to handle myself And I have no doubt that there is absolutely no merit to these suggestions by the leader of the NRP. But I have to respect the fact that I'm here as a guest at Von Radio. And when you're a guest in somebody's house, you must respect them enough not to put them at any jeopardy. And so I don't want Von Radio to be dragged into anything, any fight. I am man enough to fight my own fight. And so I want to emphasize that I will not be discussing any issue about Janice and land on Von Radio. But I certainly have other media available to me that I will be using to great efficacy. I will be using other media to deal with matters that are topical, because nobody is going to stifle the truth in Nevis. Nobody is going to prevent me as a public figure from telling people the truth and from correcting the record when others engage in saying things that are not true. And so, I just want to make that very clear tonight. So I don't want anybody to call in on Von Radio to ask me any questions about the matter involving Mrs. Daniel Hodge and land, because she has sent a lawyer letter, and I will not jeopardize Von Radio in any way, shape, or form. If you see me one-on-one, talk to me. If you call me on my phone, talk to me. And talk to me on Facebook, because I believe that Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook would be a hard person to shut down by a lawsuit. So that is what I'm seeking to say tonight. I won't get into any other details. I'm going to stick to that commitment, but I just want to say publicly, I will not be shut up. I will not remain quiet. You know, when somebody is having difficulties with the narrative that's in the public domain, when they start to talk about lawyer and lawsuit and all of that, I have always said, if you are in a particular line of business, you can't go into boxing and don't expect you're going to get punched. And I am tired of everybody trying to punch me and not expecting that I will punch back. Well, all I'm saying is that if you come to the public with untruths, half-truths, misrepresentations, efforts to mislead the public, which I think is very sad for any public official and anybody in public seeking to get into public life. Very sad that that standard is so low that you will seek to deceive the people of Nevis. All I'm saying, if you find yourself in that category, the sheriff is going to be here to correct the record. And I'll correct the record with facts that are irrefutable. And that is what I rely on. Facts that are irrefutable. And so while I notice the play on words and everybody's trying to be lawyer and everybody's trying to be clever, I don't need to pretend to be clever. The facts are what they are. And I have brought the facts to the public, and I will continue when necessary to do so. I will, however, not do so on VON Radio, because, as I have said, I will not put this station at risk, nor will I abuse the privilege that has been extended to me. I have other media that is available to me and that I will use, and use with aplomb. So I will leave that matter there. I will deal with that, and you members of the public, you will hear from me through other media on that specific matter. Tonight I will talk about the Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Act. It has taken up a lot of attention, and I continue to speak about it because there is a significant amount of misinformation and disinformation, and in fact many of our people who have become confused because there is so much misinformation. We have heard the pundits all aligned with the opposition. We have heard the opposition. We have heard even some voices from St. Kitts all weighing in on this issue. And with respect, all who are either uninformed or worse, that they are informed and seeking to mislead. Now, one would have thought that a bit of legislation that is only 8 pages, expressed in common English, that you and I and every other person, in fact, I would think any grade 4 student and above, could read it and understand it for themselves. Some have said it is difficult. Okay, I accept. And so we have tried to explain over and over what the legislation says. Every time we explain what the legislation says, there is a constant pushback from some who say, well, that might be what it says, but we don't know what might happen. That is true. That is true. Pigs might start to fly in the next 10 years. I can't tell you now a pig will never fly. But we must deal with the facts that we have in front of us and the facts that are on the ground. And the facts that we have in front of us, I continue to point out, say, that the Parliament on the 11th of August unanimously passed a bit of legislation called the Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Bill. And I think the name is important. This is Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Act of 2025. And all that that law does, all it does, it creates a framework for you or I or a foreign investor, a local investor, anybody who has land to come to the government, whether in St. Kitts or in Nevis, and apply for their land to be designated a sustainable zone. That is what this legislation aims to do. Some have claimed that the legislation allows people to come here to set up their own country. That is abject nonsense. In fact, when that was said right here on Von Radio, I was lucky enough to be on air and was able to correct the record, most importantly, to demonstrate that nothing to go so. Some have said that the legislation allows for a situation where our people will no longer be able to go to the beach, that our fishermen will no longer be able to fish in our oceans. Again, falsehood after falsehood. Nothing in the legislation says any such thing. Some have claimed that the legislation is encouraging people to sell their land. Nothing in the legislation says anything about the purchase or sale of land, or seeks to encourage or discourage any person from dealing with land which is their private property. People have continued to say all manner of things, and all that I have continued to say is, listen, we are at the end of the day reasonable people. We are at the end of the day a sensible people. We are at the end of the day an educated people. Let our conversations, therefore, reflect all of those. And let us stop with the hysteria and with the nonsense that we keep telling people about what this legislation does. Will any such zone be created in either St. Kitts or Nevis? The truth is we do not know. We do know that we have some developers who have come and say that they would like to create such a zone on the southern coast of Nevis. And they are in the process of discussions with the government and discussions with landowners, because you cannot create a zone unless you have access to the land. You must either own it or have it by way of lease. That is how a zone is created. You come, you say, I have these 10 acres, I have this 100 acres, I have this 1,000 acres. And I would like a zone to be created here. And then the legislation says at Section 5, there are a number of preconditions that you must satisfy. So if you're out there right now and you have an acre of land, you have 5 acres of land, you are equally entitled to apply, if that land is in Nevis, to the Nevis Island Administration, and if that land is in St. Kitts, to the federal government in St. Kitts, to have your land designated a special sustainability zone. Provided, of course, that you can satisfy the requirements. The requirements, and I can synopsize, are that you must present an economic impact report from a reputable firm, international standards, setting out what the economic impact will be. You must present, of course, your social and environmental impact assessment, setting out what the environmental impact would be. You must set out the necessary protections for the environment. You must set out the necessary protections for cultural artifacts and historical artifacts. You must set out your provisions as to how you're going to take care of people inside the zone in terms of their health care. You must set out how you're going to provide water to people inside the zone. You must set out how you're going to provide electricity. Up to 70% must be renewable inside the zone. And you must set out how you're going to provide the infrastructure, roads, and all of the additional infrastructure that may be required inside the zone. The legislation is designed to ensure that none of those responsibilities fall on the local government, neither the NIA nor the federal government. Those responsibilities will be squarely the responsibilities of any developer, you, I, or someone coming in from overseas who wishes to establish such a zone. Now, there have been so many things that have been said. But what I'm noticing now is that as the underbrush is cleared and as people now start to understand a bit better what it is that is afoot and what the legislation provides, I believe that a lot of those efforts, deliberate as they were to mislead people, have been falling away. And in my conversations going around Nevis at the local barber shops, at the local bars, people who know me know that I'm in the highways and the byways. I spend a lot of time in the trenches. I'm hearing people say, oh, now I understand. Because you see, when one horse is on the track, we call that horse misinformation. That's a polite word. Some may say lies. But whatever you want to call that horse, when one horse is on the track, it always looks fast. But Big Blue is now on the track. And Big Blue, you can call Big Blue facts, because that is what we deal with in the CCM party. We bring you the facts. You may ultimately decide to disagree with us, and that's okay. That is called democracy. But what you can be assured of is that this party that I lead will not lie to the people of Nevis. And we will not engage in any effort to mislead the people of Nevis. And I want to be very clear on that. It is one of the things that I wear as a badge of honor that has guided me for my near 20 years in politics. I have never come to the people of Nevis to seek to misrepresent or to lie to them. And whenever I have made any statement that has not been accurate, I have always been willing to come back and to correct that. I'm going to do that and continue to do that for the entirety of my political life and my political career. And I see no reason for me to stop doing that. Now, last night, as I talk about making sure that the record is corrected, I called a call in while I was on the Let's Talk program, and the caller asked me if I or any member of my family was involved in the buying or selling of any lands on the South Coast. My answer was no, because my mind went to my immediate family, being myself, my wife, and my children. And I know that we are not involved in either buying or selling any land. We have not sought to buy any, and we don't own any that we can sell. When I got home, my wife said to me, but you know, you have a brother and a sister who own some lands in the area that might be part of that project. And so I have come to correct that, to say, while I, my wife, and my children have no land to sell and are not in the business of buying anybody's land in that part of the island, that I do have siblings who own land somewhere in that area. I'm not sure where. And so I want to put that on record. It is just like it was for others. It is for them to decide whether they will sell or not sell their land. I, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, have no land in the south of Nevis. My wife, my children have no land in the south of Nevis. We therefore have nothing to sell. And we are certainly not in the business of buying anybody's land either. So I wanted to correct the record because, as I said, It's important for me that when I speak truthfully, I speak factually. And last night when the question was asked of me, I immediately thought of my immediate, meaning my wife, my family at home. And my mind did not go to my siblings. And I got home, my wife said to me, you know, I listened, but you do know that I think one of your brothers and one of your sisters has some land in the area. And so I just want to correct that. I don't know what my brother and sister, they're grown, they have their own affairs, whether or not they will sell or not sell. That's a matter for them. I'm not involved with them and their business, but I just want to put that on record because I think it's important. I think it's important that people like us who offer ourselves for public life are honest and open with the public, the information that impacts them, so that one can build that necessary credibility with the Nivision people whom I serve. And so I just wanted to say that and put that on record. Now, some have, as the debate expands, made the argument that I should have come to the public to have town hall meetings about this bill before the bill was debated. First of all, as I have explained up to last night, that in my near 20 years in the National Parliament, and in my now 12 years or so in the Nevis Island Assembly, in fact, I had a few years before then because I went in initially as an unelected senator on the opposition benches. But in all that time, I have never known any bill to be the subject of public debate and discussion in the context of town hall meetings before that bill is passed. What I know has generally happened is that if the bill is going to impact, say, a particular stakeholder group, you may bring them together, advise them and get their views. We do consultations normally in relation to the budget with chamber and other business groups. And generally, once the bill is put out after the first reading, the public is free to engage and to share their views and opinions. But this new requirement, it seems, that people are suddenly saying that I neglected to have town hall meetings on a bill. It would therefore have been the first time in 20 years that I would have been called upon to do so. I find it even more interesting that this bill was not a bill passed by the Nevis Island administration. It is a federal bill, national parliament, a bill that was led by the Honorable Prime Minister, and a bill that I and my colleagues in opposition supported. And so, again, that is interesting. The suggestion was that I, who serve in the role as leader of the opposition in the national parliament, should have convened town hall meetings to discuss the contents of a bill put forward for debate by the federal government in the ordinary course. And again, never having been done before. So I'm not sure if our public is now saying that they would wish for every bill that goes through the parliament to have the ability to have town hall meetings on that bill before it goes. Because as I have said, if we were to look at this 8-page bill that has been passed into law on August 11th, we will find that there's nothing about it that is controversial. That any one of us can apply to have our lands declared a sustainable zone. Nothing whatsoever. It simply sets out the framework, how it can be done, what you as an applicant needs to do. What you as an applicant need to do, forgive me. And, of course, what the role and responsibility is of the federal government and the NIA if the zone is in Nevis. That's all the legislation does. It also, of course, sets out the safeguards and the mechanisms. It says, for example, that no zone, since we're dealing with Nevis, can be declared in Nevis without the approval of the Nevis Island administration. But it goes further. No zone can be created unless the agreement that creates the zone is debated and passed in the Nevis Island Assembly. And then it says that the Premier can set up a monitoring body to monitor the implementation and compliance of any zone. All of those are safeguards built in to the legislation. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I hear the conversation, but I think it's the most curious thing to say, that I, as leader of the opposition in the National Parliament, should have brought a bill which was introduced by the government to town hall meetings in Nevis to discuss it. It has never been done before. There's no precedent for it. And frankly, there's nothing controversial about this bill. The controversy that has erupted really has nothing to do with the bill. The controversy is now about land and whether people should sell their land and whether people should hold on to their land and how much land is this development going to take. But none of that has anything to do with the legislation. Those are other matters now. As we discuss as Nevisians, what kind of development would we like to see in Nevis? How do we like to see Nevis go? As part of the panel I was privileged to be a part of last night, we had at least one panelist who admitted that Nevis now needs a game changer. We have been doing well. The economy has been growing. But what we've been experiencing in Nevis is what I would call incremental growth. And so you see the 3%, 3.5%, the 4% growth. Now in mature, large economies, 3.5%, 4% growth in China or the United States or the United Kingdom is tremendously significant. But in fledgling economies like ours, which for the most part are always on the knife's edge, 3% growth and 4% growth, while commendable, is in my view not nearly enough to catapult Nevis to the next level of development that we need. And so, look back with me, if you will. Cast your mind back to, I think it was around 1989 or thereabouts, when we all found out that the Four Seasons Resort was being built and would open its doors shortly thereafter, I think 1990 or thereabouts. And cast yourself and your mind back as well. I was a youngster then. But the debate at that time by those who were opposed to development was to say that people would no longer be able to catch crab down in the swampy area down there. And people would no longer be able to go down and pick jelly, coconut. The government of the day, and I might add an NRP government, saw that the island needed development. And so Simeon Daniel, in his wisdom, would have pushed to have that resort developed. I believe, if my numbers are correct, that that resort is on somewhere over 400 acres of land. They built a resort, they built a golf course, and I'm told they have now about 80 or so villas. Some, as we know, valued at in excess of 40 million US dollars. That is what has happened. And Four Seasons has continued to contribute in a significant way to the life and time that we have here on the island of Nevis. I'm not even going to get into the benevolence and the contributions they've made, whether it's ambulance, whether it's the 911 system, where the Four Seasons Homeowners Association have assisted. I'm leaving that to one side because I think that is clear. But just on the economy and the fact that this single property opened its doors and has employed, and it fluctuates, but anywhere from 600 to 1,000 workers. Which of you out there listening tonight would not now admit that the coming of the Four Seasons was a godsend for the people of Nevis? Yes, the naysayers say they couldn't catch crab in the swamp down there. Yes, the naysayers say they couldn't go down to pick coconut as they were accustomed to. But anywhere from 600 to 1,000 families got a payday. And the Four Seasons, even to this day, 3 decades on, continues to contribute significantly in terms of the economy here on the island of Nevis. Their purchases, the jobs that they create, the homes that they've built, the number of guests. In fact, the best news that I get from time to time is when I see that message saying they're fully committed. That's the nice way that they use to say they're sold out. And so that engine was able to take Nevis from where it was in 1990 and catapult us to the next level, where Nevisians now could go to the bank. They could buy a car, buy a piece of land, build a home. They can send their children to university. Nevisians now started to accumulate and acquire wealth, and not just Nevisians who work at Four Seasons. I hasten to add, you had Nevisians who never worked a day in Four Seasons, but they're running their taxi. And the business is so good that they decide, let me buy another one or two, so I don't have a fleet. You have Nevisians who are farmers, and everything they grow, they can sell to Four Seasons. Our brothers and sisters who are fishers, divers who are diving conch or diving lobster, all of them have found benefit. Farmer, fisher, taxi driver, all these allied services, contractors, construction, carpenters, masons, plumbers, electricians. And then, of course, you have the hotel worker. Which of us would not argue that Four Seasons was a game changer for Nevis back then? Now the same people of the NRP who brought Four Seasons, the irony of ironies that they are the same ones now who are saying we don't want any development in Nevis. And I believe I can say that, and say that truthfully. Because when we announced the Mondo track, our youngsters were running on grass up at the ETW park. And if no rain was falling, they were running on dirt at the ETW park. When they ran, sometimes you saw the dust in their face at the ETW park. As a government, we said, it is time for us to upgrade and give them a surface that is world class, so they can stand shoulder to shoulder with their colleagues on St. Kitts and their colleagues elsewhere in the region. And we announced that we would do that Mondo track. The NRP started its howls of protest. I remember it very well. The Mondo track is built in my constituency. It was a project that was done under my ministry. At the time, I was responsible for sport. And I remember the hullabaloo. I remember the talk that the flies from the dump are going to make that facility unusable, that we were stupid and foolish to be building such a facility in that location. But you know what? If you stop to kick at every barking dog, you will never get up the hill. And so we proceeded to build that facility. And nothing warms my heart, brothers and sisters at home and abroad, than when I drive by there and I see even some of our elderly people using that facility for their exercise in the early mornings and at evenings. Our athletes using that facility to train. Our footballers using the infield, which was specifically designed to accommodate them to play football. We've even had competitions in the St. Kitts Nevis League coming there. A facility that has served Nevis well. It could not have happened if we had paid attention to the NRP. If it were up to them, our youth would still be running at ETW Park on grass or on dirt, with dust in their faces in the dry season. Let us switch to the Wally Water Taxi Pier. We asked the Honorable Alexis Jeffers to spearhead that project because we know when you ask him to get a project done, he gets it done. He delivered on that pier. And again, the hullabaloo. I heard one of them say, oh, we destroyed the beach over there. It's the best beach in Nevis. They went to town. And then, as we waited for the resources to do the second phase of the project, which was the reception area, we had some tents there and some benches. Not ideal, I would admit, but we understand the scarce resources in small countries. And so we waited and gathered our pennies together. And then during that time, because people had to use a tent and some benches, again the howls of protest. Oh, this is nonsense, look what they do. But we ignored the noise. And we proceeded in God's time, when the money came, to do the reception facility. Now that Wally Water Taxi Pier is used by all, and in my humble opinion, used more by the same NRP bigwigs who argued and fought against it than is used even by us, the members of the proud CCM party. That water taxi facility has revolutionized travel between St. Kitts and Nevis. I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise. It has spawned a brand new industry with various companies involved in taking people back and forth. And the last number I saw, I would think it was over 1 million passengers have traversed those gates there at Wally since the opening of that facility. Young people in Nevis now have another option for employment. I see even a young female over there, captain in a boat, non-traditional role. Young men who perhaps would have been doing something else are now boat captains, mates on the boats, and an entire industry has been spawned because of the vision of the CCM party. Again, if we had listened to the noise made by the opposition, the Wally Water Taxi facility could never have happened. Let us fast forward. We announced that we had a partnership that would result in the rebuilding, upgrading, and complete overhaul of the Vance Amri International Airport. Now let us remember that this is a facility that has come under relentless attacks by the same nattering neighbors of negativity. When Anguilla went ahead and improved their airport, I remember seeing the videos. Oh, little Anguilla could do this. What happened to Nevis? Nevis getting left behind. This government is a bad government because there's no development. Oh yes, but we who were in government knew that we were seeking to put things in order. And when we announced, ladies and gentlemen, that we would seek finally to expand the airport, to allow our people the opportunity to fly here directly from some parts of the United States like Miami, allow the private jet owners to fly here, whether they're going to St. Bart's or Anguilla, to park their jets here, to create a facility that is designed in such a way that we cater to that segment of the market, because we recognize that during Christmas time, for example, those jets are parked in St. Kitts, they're parked in St. Martin, but the guests are not necessarily on either St. Kitts or St. Martin. It's just that they can't park where they're going. And I remember going to St. Bart's and speaking to the authorities in St. Bart's, and they said to me, if you can get that facility in Nevis done, then Nevis can even become another hub for St. Bart's as St. Martin currently is. What did the NRP do as soon as they heard that we were going to do the airport? Howls of protest. In fact, their leader took a massive crowd of 6 people over to the airport with some placards. Said they're protesting the expansion of the Nevis airport. That's what they did. Then they started this vicious rumor that we had sold the airport to some white man. You all know what I'm talking about because you all heard them. And again, like the Mondo track, like the Wally Water taxi facility, now the airport, the subject of all of this aggression and negativity, which of us, my fellow Nivisions, would not want the comfort of stepping on a plane in Miami and stepping off at the Van Sammer International Airport? Which of us? And all that this government is seeking to do is to create the framework for development, create the opportunity, create the type of Nevis where investors, both local and foreign, can feel comfortable bringing their resources to bear. That is what we're seeking to do. But again, the opposition went to protest. Massive 6-man march over at the airport, led by the leader. Now, this is an opposition. Let us remember that one of their frequent attacks on my government is to say that the investors are out at sea and no investors are coming ashore. You all remember that? They popularized that saying, investors are out at sea. Then they say, as investors started to come ashore and did projects, we look at all the restaurants that have popped up around Nevis. We look at all the small developments that have happened. We look at Palm Gardens up in Jessops. We look at the Platinum super high-end villas being built there at the former Coconut Grove. We see the continued growth and expansion of villas at the Four Seasons. We see a real estate market that's red hot. We see Social Security telling us that we have more jobs than people to work. We see an influx of our brothers and sisters, especially from the Caribbean, Dominica, Sakafet. We see them coming from Jamaica, from Trinidad, from Guyana, coming here, coming because their families are here, their friends are here, and they're being told Nevis is a nice place to be. There's opportunity here. So even though all of that was happening, and we see the transformation that has happened at the Bath Hot Springs, we see the transformation that has happened with the MGR Park, the transformation that has happened down on the beach, at Pinneys Beach. I had a vision. I think he lives in Florida. And he came home last year for Culture Armor 50 and he says he could not believe what he was seeing. Notwithstanding all of that, you had the constant cry that nothing was happening in Nevis. Nothing big, they say, had come. So now we have an approach that has been made to us formally, a proposal that has been made to us to create something special on the south zone, south coast of Nevis. I remind all who are listening, and some who may not know Nevis well, get in your vehicle and drive past Long Point Port. See how far you get. You may have to stop and start walking. There's some deep guts over there. The ocean has been taking the land through erosion. There's absolutely nothing over there. No water, no electricity. Just barren land. And some of the soil is not soil that is fit for agriculture because of the nature of it. There are no beaches over there because it's on the Atlantic coast. Mostly rock. It's windy. It's an area of Nevis that has not seen any development in over 100 years. And some say it will not see development for another 50 years, if not more. People own land over there. The lands are owned by individuals. But none has stepped forward with the capital to develop their lands. Many who own lands there have long left Nevis decades ago. Many are on St. Kitts. Many are not Kittitian or Nivision. Many are deceased. And some people, having those lands for all these years, now having an opportunity to cash in by selling their lands, are opting to do so. Other persons are saying, I don't want to lose land, so find me land in some other part of the island and swap one for the other. Yet others are saying, I want more money for my land. Yet others are saying, I will not sell my land. My simple point, ladies and gentlemen, is that all of those responses are entirely up to those people. All. Even the NRP operatives and bigwigs who have sold and collected, it is their right. Nobody should begrudge them that because it's their private land. But don't sell and collect and then turn around and condemn others who have the same rights as you have. And that's really all that I've been trying to convey in relation to that. Now, something big is proposed. Money is already being spent because plenty people already collect. Whether it's some or all, I would not know, but plenty people have already collected cold hard cash. So, what happens? Just like Mondo, just like Wally Water Taxi, just like the airport, the NRP has gone into overdrive. Let's attack, let's kill the project. I have even seen them gone so far, ladies and gentlemen, in an apparent effort to argue that I and my government are bringing criminal investors to the island, that have gone online and are maligning a certain gentleman, putting up his picture, saying all kinds of things about him, when the gentleman is not a part of this project. The project is being sponsored by an investor, the name that we've shared, Olivia Jensen, and yet they're going after other people, calling the people name, putting up the people photo, and saying, oh, these people are who we are bringing. I guess perhaps they did their digging on Mr. Jensen and perhaps didn't find anything that they could talk about. And so they have now latched on to other third parties who have not one thing to do with this project. That's a level of dishonesty that we are seeing. They have trumpeted that we are selling, they say, lands in Nevis, and that the government is selling these lands. I've been at pains to point out that the lands that the government had title to on the south of Nevis were 238 acres. And those lands were swapped by the same NRP when they were in government to the National Bank for debt. To use the language that was popular then, those lands were poofed away. Poof, those lands gone. It wasn't me. It wasn't the CCM. It was the NRP that poofed those lands away. And so we, and I can tell you now, we are working with lawyers and with the surveyor to say, is there any crown land at all in that area that belongs to the crown, but which we do not have title for? And we're doing a thorough investigation. But as I sit here tonight, I can say to you that all the lands that have been negotiated and discussed are private lands. And so they put up now this ludicrous map. Fortunately, they did the diagram in green, because I think we now start to associate green with deception. And they showed a green swath of land running from Butlers in the east all the way around to Bath, including Montpelier. And they said that was 6 square miles of Nevis. And so many people sent me that, asking me, what is this about? And I had to tell people, that is false. I now notice they put up a different map. What if I put it up to the phone, to the camera that people can see? Let me see if I can try it, just to see if it works. I don't know the technical aspects here and whether they would work well enough, but I'm not sure if the camera would pick that up. Are we picking it up? This was what they put out. 6 square miles they allege. And you see the big green, what it is, what you call that? Circle, arc. They said that is the land. So, all right, that is a lie. But look at this one now. This one now they put out more recently. They said this now is the land. Let me show you again. They put out this one first. Said this is the land. And creating hysteria. They come back now. They put out this one. They said this is the land. And I am simply saying, ladies and gentlemen, why is there a need to try so hard to mislead the people? Why is there a need for that? Why is there a need for anybody to sell their land and benefit from selling their land and then turn around and try to distance themselves and lie about it? Why? If you own land as your business, God bless you. If you choose to sell your land as your business, God bless you. Why are you going to sell and try and hide your hand and then start to cost other people and cost the government and say this man of things? That can't be right. It is hypocritical. It is telling the public that I have the right to sell and get millions, but you do not have that right. And in this little Nevis, everybody has the same rights. And I will defend everybody's right to deal with their property as they see fit. Because nobody could come and tell me that what I work hard for, I can't sell, or I can't negotiate, or I can't lease. They would be out of order. Just so I feel the government would be out of order to try to tell people, wherever they are in Nevis, whether they're in Cox, Coal Hill, Jones Estate, Brown Hill, Jessop's or Cotton Grove, that they cannot sell the property that belongs to them. Whether they work for it, whether their father give them, whether their mother give them, it does not matter. It is yours. You have a right to deal with it as you wish. And if some who have sold and got their money accept that they have that right, then they must accord the same respect to others. But I say only that here again now. So they're no longer saying that the CCM is not bringing an investor. They're now saying that the investment too big. They're now saying that the investment is going to change Nevis. Well, let me ask this question rhetorically. Did the Four Seasons not change Nevis? You see, for me, it's not the change because we anticipate with development there will be change. When I was a boy in Handley's Road, I walked from Scarborough up to Market Shop to fill a little gallon bucket, paint can, gallon paint tin with water, to then walk back down to Scarborough to use that water to bathe, to then walk back up to Market Shop to go to chapel school behind the Methodist Church, and then to walk back down the afternoon. That was the life that we had. Nowadays you have school bus, you have people with their trans, children are being picked up and dropped off at school. Development brings change. And we therefore, as we seek development, must anticipate there will be change. What we need to do, brothers and sisters, is to try our best to ensure that the change that we get is a positive change. And so I ask you tonight, if this development were to happen, and we were to see, as has been suggested, thousands of new jobs during construction, thousands of good quality jobs during the running of this hotel. Yes, they're going to need gardeners. Yes, they're going to need housekeepers. Yes, they're going to need landscape people. But they're also going to need chefs. They're going to need medical personnel, doctors and nurses, who will man whatever clinic they will have for their residents. Yes, they're going to need managers. They will need accountants. They will need businesses such as supermarkets, creating the opportunity for Rams and Value Mart and Best Buy and others. That is what we are anticipating. They're going to need air conditioning experts. They're going to need technical people. They're talking about a zone that's entirely green. They even talk about having these within the zone robot taxis, you know. I saw one recently in Atlanta. And I thought to myself, fascinating. Driverless electric cars. But those are going to need maintenance, you know. Who's going to take care of them? The opportunities will be endless. The engineers, the architects, the contractors, the plumbers, the masons, the electricians. So we're talking about a game changer. Just as 30 years ago, Four Seasons was a game changer for Nevis. Incidentally, as I mentioned Atlanta, I don't know if they're listening, but I want to thank Spider, my brother Spider, and his wife Inika, and the scores of Nevisians who descended on their home for the third annual fish fry that they had. The food, the ambience, the camaraderie, the music, everything was top notch. Excellent. Inika and Spider, if you're listening, to you and the entire crew that made it possible, and to all the Nevisians from all over. Some came from Louisiana, some came from Florida, some came from New York, some came from New Jersey. But it was one big Nevis family. And I enjoyed being with you. I was there with you for about 8 or 9 hours that day. And I doubled back the next day and visited again. I also, whilst I was there, had the opportunity to meet with our visiting pulmonologist, Dr. George, Ursula, Philip, and their team, and had the opportunity to discuss with them the expansion of that visiting specialist program that they have initiated. I want to publicly thank again Ursula Philip. Her mother, who was also Ursula, was my dear friend. And her mother was the one who came up with this idea of bringing specialists to Nevis. Her daughter now, Ursula, has picked it up and is carrying it with a passion and a love for this island, giving back. And I say thank you to her. Thank you to Dr. George, who came. I don't have the full report yet, but I met with them while I was in Atlanta, and I was able to hear from them their plans for encouraging and continuing this program on Nevis. I thought that it was important for me to pause, as I mentioned Atlanta, to mention those two things. But going back now to this development, it offers us an opportunity to take Nevis to the next level of development. It will be for us to determine whether that's what we want. But I just want to say to our public that the very same individuals who attacked the Mundo truck, who attacked the oily water taxi pier, who marched when they heard the airport was to be expanded and upgraded, are the very same ones now making noise and saying the development is too big for Nevis. So you've now gone from an argument that nothing is happening in Nevis, that we have been unable to bring any investor to Nevis, to now the argument that this investment is too big, it's too much for Nevis. And I am saying that I want a Nevis where every boy and girl here can find employment, gainful employment, grow and build wealth right here on this island. If they leave, let it be their choice, but not because they need to. And I want equally that opportunity for every young person that goes away to study, to get a technical skill or university, to be able to come back with confidence and find employment in their country. And I want for those of us already out there to now start to think about coming home. And that's a dream that I have had. I spoke about it in Canada up to recently at the NEFCAN. Not NEFCAN, I'm sorry. What is it called now? With the Anguilla Nevis St. Kitts Association. I spoke to them, ANSA, and I said it is time to come home. Our people left Nevis because there was no opportunity in Nevis. Our people left Nevis and went away. My father did so in the 1950s, and many, many, many others have done so. Our history has been a history of migration. I went down to Bermuda, or up to Bermuda. I believe it was last year or the year before. And I was astonished to hear Bermudans telling me that 60% of Bermudans trace their roots to St. Kitts and Nevis. 60%. It tells me, therefore, that our people have traveled to distant lands to help them develop. You think I'm lying? Look at St. John and the VI. How many Nevis people you have down there? Look at St. Thomas in the VI. Look at St. Croix. In fact, we have so many Nevis people down there that the last time we went to St. Thomas to campaign, it was during the electoral cycle in St. Thomas, and would you believe, senatorial and even a gubernatorial candidate came to our meeting because they say the St. Kitts Nevis population down there is such an important block. I believe something like 30% of U.S. VI landers trace their roots to St. Kitts Nevis. You go to Tortola, it's no different. Anegada, Virgin Gorda, St. Martin, Anguilla. We have traveled out of Nevis looking for opportunity. New York, Boston, Florida. I was shocked at the number of Nevisians living in Georgia, as many have moved south. God bless them. When I went to Georgia and I saw the homes that they had and how they were progressing, I said, God bless them. But I also want them and their children to know that they could also progress in the land of their birth, the island of Nevis. And we must create the opportunities here so that our people are no longer saying they must leave to find opportunity. That's my role as the leader of this island. And in trying to develop this island, to create opportunity for our young people, to create opportunity for those who are yet unborn, to create the Nevis that is attractive to investors and attractive to people coming in, to our own diaspora, many of whom listen to this program, many of whom know that countries which they have adopted as their own have now in today's world become hostile to them, labeling them as immigrants and seeking to get rid of them. Well, you should be able to come home. And home should have for you opportunity. And I just want you to see how convenient the arguments are. No investor coming, investors out at sea. Now an investor has come and has proposed a development for an area on this island which is entirely and wholly undeveloped. You hear now, that's too big for Nevis. And you hear all kinds of things they're saying about the investor to try and deter, prevent, block. And I will tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to politics. The NRP doesn't want to see any development on Nevis because if the airport happens, we are able to get a massive development in the south of Nevis. We're able to bring a hotel. Imagine one of the criticisms against this administration, you ain't bring no hotel. That is not entirely true, because Mount Nevis expanded under this administration, and Paradise Beach, which is one of the finest properties in the world, opened its doors under this administration. But put that aside. They say I ain't bring no hotel. Now there's a development that is promising at least 3 resort communities operating at the highest end of luxury. And they say, oh, we don't want that to come to Nevis. And so I ask you, genuinely, what is it the NRP wants? What is it they want? Because every single time we announce some investment or development, they go on the attack. And I will tell you, it's just politics. They don't want any development to happen on the CCM. Because as far as they're concerned, that allows them to say to the people of Nevis, look, nothing happening. The place dead. That is not the truth, but that is what they've been saying. And so when you now talk about a development and investment of over $1 billion US, nothing of its kind has ever been seen in St. Kitts or Nevis. They have gone crazy trying to block it and using every tactic that they can. We know that Nevisians are fiercely attached to their land. But we equally know that Nevisians are very forward. And the same way they attach to their land, they will be quick to tell you, you can't tell me what to do with my property. This belongs to me. My mother leave it for me. My father leave it for me. I work hard to buy this. How dare you tell me what I can do with it and what I cannot do with it? All I'm saying, let us respect each other. Same way you and NRP have sold and have benefited, allow other people that same courtesy, that same privilege, that same right. That's all I'm saying. And at the end of the day, whatever land can be procured, let us look to see whether we can negotiate the right kind of development deal so that this island can move to the next level of development and becomes what is my goal, the best place in the world to live, to work, and to raise your family. That is the aspiration. That is what we're seeking to achieve. And to do that, we need serious partners with money to invest that can allow us to get to the next level of investment. One of the things that this development promises is the revenue stream to the government. The government is still heavily dependent on Four Seasons and large enterprises like that. Could you imagine now if you have a development which is 3 times the size and scale and capacity of Four Seasons, and how much revenue that will generate? Not only for Nevis, because I'm hearing some attack dogs in St. Kitts as well, but for St. Kitts too. I wonder if our people know that one time when the Four Seasons was closed, American Airlines cut back their flights to St. Kitts. I wonder if our people know that. You know why I say so? Because a lot of times, some who are in St. Kitts and banging them out seem not to appreciate the level to which institutions like Four Seasons contribute to the St. Kitts economy. I ain't even want to start to talk about departure taxes that we spend in the millions to use the Robert Llewellyn Battery Airport. But it is one country, and we have to expect that in one country you'll have those synergies. 2 islands, 1 country. But I just want you for a moment to close your eyes and imagine a Nevis which has diversified to the point where we're no longer just Four Seasons and some smaller properties. We now have multiple engagements, new residences, new construction, new hotels, all at the highest level. And that allows us, ladies and gentlemen, to create the jobs, to create the momentum, to create the revenue for government that will then allow the government to do other things. You know, many people call me every day, tell me they need a road fix. I would like to snap my fingers and fix every road in Nevis. But we know that we don't have the resources. Sometimes we're doing a road, we're doing it piece. But could you imagine now if you have those resources, that we can now start to put something away for a rainy day? When we look at the financial aspects of this project, one of the things that is being proposed is for us to create some kind of sovereign fund for the island of Nevis. A fund that we can build up, because as the Bible teaches us, in times of plenty, you save up so that if times of famine were to come, you will not starve. That is what we are seeking to do. And I believe, as Premier of Nevis, as the leader chosen by you to take the best decisions that we can for our development, that's my role. To ensure that Nevisians at home, those abroad, that they have opportunity here. And certainly if our brothers and sisters around the region want to come, then just as we went to them, I say let them come as well. That, brothers and sisters, is what we're seeking to do. I'm going to take your calls in a moment, but I need to speak about two other matters. One, I want to say to the public that the film industry that was started through our partnership with MSR Media during the height of the COVID pandemic, and which we have now formalized by passing legislation and by appointing a film commissioner and operationalizing the film commission, that industry is starting to come to life. This year alone, we have had a major television series taped here. That series, I'm told, will start to air on October 5th, so I'm sure you will hear more about it shortly. We have had a movie, Pangirl, that was taped here, done by our own Juliet Jeffers, who is an actress of great renown in the United States. And Juliet, if you're listening, I want to thank you because you've given back so much. You've come, you've had acting classes, you've done all that. Again, Nevisians showing that no matter where they live, they can contribute. And so she did a local movie with many local actors and actresses called Pangirl. And today I saw that it will be premiered here soon. I also saw that just tonight I got the message that there will be a screening of one of the movies made here. A movie called The Island. And that movie will be screened on September 28th, Sunday at 6:30 at NEPAC. $10 EC. And I'm hoping that the theater is full. You know why? This is one of the movies, The Island, that was made right here in Nevis. It stars Michael Jai White, Jackson Rathbone, Gillian White, Eduardo Costa, Wayne Gordon, Sean, and it's directed by Sean Paul Piccinino. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So this will be premiered here in Nevis on Sunday, September 28th at NEPAC. Just $10 EC. Go out and see what it is we're doing. But not just Pangirl. There was another film done here. And that film looked at the churches in Nevis. And I think that Nevisians should be proud that that film was featured at Carifesta 15 in Barbados. That has just concluded. We then have a movie, a full-length movie, romantic movie, that was filmed here. They wrapped just last Saturday. And what really pleased me is when I went to the set to see the number of Nevisians and the Kittitians involved in that movie. Makeup, hair. Some were acting, having acting roles. Some were extras. But our Nevisians. And I look around and I saw some Nyla Daniel, Tishan Wilkin, and others. And I start to think of when we talk about empowering our young people and creating opportunity for them. You all remember when I started to talk about the film industry, many laughed at me. They said I'm crazy. But here we are now with a growing cadre of young people who understand and know about film. And so when these folks are coming in now, they're hiring these youngsters who worked with MSR. That's where they got their start. And it makes my heart glad. That same company is returning to Ireland in 2 weeks to start another movie. And just yesterday, I had an outreach to say that there is yet another movie that is being contemplated, and they want to have a conversation about how we can partner. I believe that this year has seen a lot of filming in Nevis. We're only now in September, but by the time the year is finished, God's willing, we would have had that very, very significant series, television series. I can't say much because there's a confidentiality agreement, but that is going to air, I'm told, on October 5th, where Nevis is going to be featured in all her glory. We've had Pangirl. We've had Spirit and Stone, I think it's called, which is a film about our churches. We've had this new film that is just wrapping. We have another one in 2 weeks that's going to come. And we are talking to other people about having filming throughout the year. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that this yet again is an example of an idea that is bearing fruit and creating what for me is most important, opportunities for our people. Who's catering for them? Who's providing the food? Where they're staying? All of these things are important because all of these are local inputs in terms of what they're doing. The last matter I will address, and then I will open the lines, is to go on record to commend the Honorable Janelle Nisbet and her team, because as a young person, we selected her to lead in relation to our community development, our people, seniors, the ministry that really deals with our people, and sometimes the ministry that sees our people at their most vulnerable. I want to go on record again tonight to say thank you to Africa Wilkes, my friend, because on one of the things that we did in terms of the listening that we do as government, we went up to Hamilton and we were on the block there in Hamilton talking with the people. And Africa lamented that as a single parent, she had children who were not yet in preschool, but she had difficulty, as many do, paying for daycare. And we came up with the idea right then and there, to say that the government will develop a program to assist with daycare. When I took that matter to the cabinet, Janelle Nisbet and her team improved on the idea, because originally we were thinking of building a daycare center. It would be government run. And they came back, the thoughtful team that they have, and they said, why build a center? Why not support the existing daycare centers by offering some financial help to those parents who needed that help? And so the program therefore would assist those nurseries that currently exist, and at the same time assist parents with their needs for that childcare. And we did that, and we implemented the program. Child Assistance Program, we launched it on September 7, 2023. So it's only been 2 years, just shy of 2 years. And we launched it on September 7th. We started the application process that very next day. It was designed to support families within a specific socioeconomic bracket. The program caters to single-parent households earning $2,000 or less per month, dual income households earning $3,000 or less per month. Through a voucher system, the program provides up to $300 in childcare assistance per month, covering up to 2 children per household. So put differently, if you have 6 children in the house, we will only cover up to 2. But the program covers $300 per child, up to 2 children in the same household per month. And these children that we touch are between the ages of, well, under 3 years old, up to 3 years old. Let me put it that way. We began this journey with 6 clients. And the program has grown steadily since then. The program is ongoing, so we don't have a cutoff. If you come in and you qualify, you can join the program at any time. So we are continuously accepting new clients, while of course some clients are off-boarded because their children now are leaving nursery and going on to preschool. This year marks the start of a second cohort of clients. Our first cohort saw 13 children transition successfully to preschool, and we're now seeing an additional 21 children that are moving on, bringing the total number of successful preschool transitions to 34, including 2 proud dads. So I want the fathers out there to know that we are supportive of you too. Currently we're serving 21 active clients, and to date the program has supported 59 families in total, with 4 clients exiting early due to reasons such as relocating overseas or moving to nurseries that are not yet enrolled in the program. So that's important, that nurseries out there, please enroll with the program. This continues to make a meaningful impact by helping families to access quality child care and easing the financial burden during those critical early years. We are empowering parents, nurturing young minds, and building brighter futures, one family at a time. And we know the family is the building block of strong communities, and strong communities are the building block of a strong island and a strong country. Now, what I have learned is that the good folks have not stopped there. So this year they have introduced some innovations where they're now trying to assist those transitioning to preschool with uniforms, with books, with other assistance. And just this afternoon, one parent called me and indicated to me that she had not only received uniforms, but had also received some assistance that she could go to one of the local business places and buy supplies for her children who are going on to preschool. So we're not just catering now for those who are under 3 years, we're also helping them as they transition from this program and moving into preschool with their uniforms and the expenses. The motto of this government, the motto of this party is people matter most. We have demonstrated that whatever we do, whether it's in the economy to grow it, whether it's in our social safety nets, whether it's empowering young people, providing scholarships and assistance to our people to study and get their skill sets up, lifting up our people, we have put people at the center of everything that we do in Nevis. And this particular program, I feel, has brought real relief to so many. I want to just take one final moment to tell you that I saw published today some commentary, and this is from parents. One said, the gender staff really listened and supported me through the process. The uniform assistance gave me relief. A burden has been lifted. These are real people. Another one said, to me the voucher has been a blessing, helpful, financial rescue, and a mental ease. Yet another said the gender affairs staff made the process super easy to sign up for and also throughout, and I can't help but say a hearty thank you to every single one who contributed in some way. And yet another said, as a single parent that was on the action plan, I benefited financially because I have multiple small children and was always in a position of owing before the program because of all the other obligations. So the program helped me tremendously. And then this last parent said, this program has made a huge difference in my life. It has made me save a lot. Government is there to help people, to make sure that people's lives are better off. And that is why tonight I wanted to say something about this program and commend the minister and her team, her permanent secretary, P.S. Martin, assistant permanent secretary, Jeffers, and the entire team who have worked so hard. Michelle Liebert, how could I forget Michelle? Please forgive me. And all of those who are in gender, who work with our seniors, who ensure that our people feel the love and that our people are given an opportunity to grow and to develop. And what better investment can you make, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, than in your children? I will leave it there. I have gone on for quite a while, but I thought I had a lot to say, and I'll open the phones now. So I'm going to be quiet now and listen to you. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call, and the phones have already lit up, so let's go straight. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
Ephesians 6, verse 11 and 12. Put on the whole arm of God, that he may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against power, against the ruler of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Good night.
Good night, and thank you so much. It is great to hear your voice and to get that scripture. I know that some have been asking about the scripture, and I always say to them that you always bring something of your choice. It is not something that I choose, and when you do that, you bring something that we can all reflect upon. And so thank you very much for that. Some folks are sending me some messages. I was just checking quickly, but of course I'm taking your calls. 469-1616 and 469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show. We have roughly 32 minutes or so to go, so I know that we can take a substantial number of calls, and I invite you, if you're out there, please, to call in and be a part of this show this evening. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor.
Good evening to you.
Honorable John Elizabeth on the line.
Oh, how are you? How are you, Minister?
I'm doing well. I think I'm calling in because I heard you discussing the action plan, voucher assistance for our families with children going to daycare. And I just wanted to call in to echo the sentiments of thanks, first of all, to the entire team who got behind that project and who really pushed it and kept it going so well. So the entire team at the Department of Gender Affairs, led by Ms. Hendrickson, I think they have been instrumental in ensuring that the program is easy to access and helping the families in other ways outside of just the monetary support.
I don't always remember the names. I'm happy you mentioned Ms. Hendrickson, because in thanking I neglected to thank her. But who are the leaders in relation to this particular aspect? I know your ministry is quite large, but in relation to this aspect, is that led by Mrs. Hendrickson?
Yes, in regards to this aspect, we opted to spearhead this particular project through the Department of Gender Affairs.
Okay.
And that is led by Ms. Sarah Hendrickson.
All right, good. And so I read some of the responses that parents have given, and it does appear that this project has been very well received. The note that I said that you currently had 34 transitions to preschools, including 2 proud dads, and that you have an additional 21 children who are moving on, so that's made up the total. But you said to date the program has supported 59 families, and I'm just wondering, is that the current number, 59?
The current number, I believe, is around 21 on the program, because this set is now transitioning off, so we expect new individuals to sign up as the year goes.
Tell us a little bit about this new innovation.
Yes,
Yes.
We always support the families month to month with the $300 voucher towards their daycare costs. This year, I actually was shopping for my nephew. To be quite honest, I was picking up a book for him, one of those workbooks, and I realized how expensive the book is. And I thought to myself, these individuals who were reliant on this support while their children were going to daycare, they're probably feeling some additional level of strain as they prepare for preschool, and they now have to buy uniforms and crayons, backpacks, lunch boxes, and that will be an additional burden. So if we can support those individuals as they transition off of the program, I was certain that was going to be a big help. So I threw this idea out to the team, Assistant Secretary Jeffers as well as Ms. Hendrickson, and they really got on it right away. And we didn't want to take a generic approach to it where we just say, have some uniforms or have some school supplies. So what we did, we reached out to each family that their child was transitioning off the program to see where their needs were at, where your needs at, did you need uniforms, did you need school supplies, etc. And we partnered with different stores to collect vouchers. So we got vouchers for some uniform stores, some for Rams, some for TDC where you can get supplies. And we tailored those to the needs of the parents. So if a parent had the need for uniforms, they might have got $300 worth of vouchers for uniforms. Whereas if one may have already acquired uniforms and needed supplies, they might have preferred to have the voucher geared towards TDC where they can get additional school supplies. So that was really a big help to some of the parents. We had a ceremony just on Monday just to mark the occasion, and we had some of the parents give their own testimony and feedback of how this program and this latest initiative has helped them. And it was really impactful to listen to, because I myself can remember growing up as a child, as the youngest of 4 children. I can remember some of my older siblings having to stay home from school if a babysitter was not available, and they would have to miss a day of school to watch me. So a lot of the parents would have testified that, this program would have assisted in preventing incidents such as those from happening within their families as well.
Thank you very much, Minister, for calling in and for telling the public all that is going on. I think that so much good work is being done, particularly, as I said earlier, in your ministry, which really is the ministry that cares for people, that
Indeed.
provides the social safety nets that are so important for our people. And as I said, as one parent called me today to inform me that her children had transitioned, but that she was so grateful for the assistance now. So this innovation that has been done has assisted her. She said she got her uniforms and she still had some resources to go now and buy some supplies. So she was over the moon. And I think that this is what really and truly we are here to do.
That is exactly what we're here for.
Exactly, to look out for our people. So thank you very much, caller. Not caller, but Madam Minister, forgive me.
Thank you so much for allowing me the time.
Right, thank you so much. And please call anytime. I think that this type of information is important. While I have you on the line, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah, while I have you on the line, are you at liberty to give us any information about the proposed cleanup that we are doing island-wide of abandoned cars and old vehicles?
Yes, we would have done some cleanups earlier this year where we partnered with the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society to remove a lot of the derelict vehicles off of the side of the road. So what we're doing as a government now, through the Department of Solid Waste Management, we have brought in some machinery, a baler that will be used to crush a lot of these scrap metal, these old vehicles that will be then transported off the island. So we are planning an extensive campaign in the upcoming months where we'll be going again and trying to clean a lot of these derelict vehicles, white goods off the streets and where they are often dumped. So while I'm on the line, I want to appeal to a lot of the individuals. Sometimes it's mechanics, sometimes it's just owners of these vehicles who refuse to part with them, but legally they do cause harm in that they attract rodents. Sometimes they're infringing on traffic, and we want everyone to willingly participate in this exercise of cleaning up Nevis. But there are mechanisms in place that can compel individuals to participate as well. However, we want it to be by choice, that we all want the best for Nevis. So we'll be doing some meetings and just engagements with the public to let you know what's happening and when it is going to happen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that this is what people have been waiting to hear. I know that recently some commented on social media that there's such an influx of cars.
Yes.
As Nevisians have been buying vehicles, the question is, what are we doing? So just like we are baling plastics and exporting them, another success story, I feel, for solid waste and for your ministry, because that falls on the Ministry of Health. I think equally now we're talking about crushing these cars, and I'm happy that you can confirm that the equipment is now on island.
Yes.
To do it. So it's very important, a very important project, and I join you in asking for the support of the public. There are lots of abandoned vehicles all across the island on our roadsides, parked in people's yards. Some of them have bee bush and thing growing over them. It is time for us to clean up the island. You mentioned rodents, but also mosquitoes. It's a big problem in these vehicles, and the police have said to us that sometimes the criminal elements hide contraband, firearms, and drugs and illicit substances in some of these abandoned vehicles. So cleaning them up will improve the aesthetics of the island, improve the health of our people, and of course help us to keep Nevis clean. And as we say, Nevis nice, we want to keep it that way. So thank you, Minister, and I look forward to hearing a lot more on that particular program, which I'm very excited about.
Thank you, Premier.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you very much. We have about 22, 23 minutes left, and we're taking your calls. Let's go straight back to the telephones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Hello, good evening. This is Mavis Pang.
How are you, Mavis? Good to hear you.
I am good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would have overheard a conversation between some people who were knocking the preschool program where you help to finance, these toddlers going into a preschool setting or even for daycare.
So people are knocking, helping people who need help?
Well, they were saying that, it's not being done at the right level. That it should be done maybe in the primary school or in the high school, rather than down there. So I want to call into as an educator, as a special educator with a degree in special education, that the foundation of education starts at birth. So some of us who don't read to our children, and so they would have bypassed that, because we have parents who are not reading to their 1 month old, their 2 months old. And those are the foundation for language. That is where they hear the sounds and can develop the phoneme, how to put the sounds together for words. So, having failed to do that at home, we are now saying that we can help you to put them into a structured environment where they would be scheduled, and a structure is very important for children. They have to know when it is nap time, when it is play time, when it is time to sit and be quiet. When we don't have children on a structured program, chaos reigns, and the terrible tools are way more traumatic than they need to be. The terrible tools come in when the children are learning their emotions and navigating to say yes or no. Most of the time they just want to see what would happen, and so it's always a no, 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 and a very strong no. And then if you insist it's yes, they pitch a hissy fit and so on. But if they were already in a structured environment, they would have learned that there's a time and a place for every activity. So I want people to, start reading and researching before they start knocking. So that is one. We are suffering with mathematics because some of us don't even
give our children when we going in the car to say, I spy with my little eye, what do you see? Just to build memory, to sing some nursery rhymes with them. Nursery rhymes are very important. So all of these little things that they do in these structured environments at their level is the foundation for their high school education.
Well, so basically, if I'm understanding you, as somebody trained in the field and a practitioner, that you're really saying that the assistance at that early level is useful to that child's development.
Yes, it's called early intervention.
Okay.
And here in the structured environment too, with comparing your child with others, you may be able to spot some developmental delays, like delays in speech, like the way the person casts their eyes in order to focus, things like that. Whereas a one-on-one parent, may not be able to see it. So there are a lot of things that happen in that environment that is very helpful to the child's development.
Well, thank you very, very much for that. You have any other issues for us tonight, Mavis?
Yes, carbon and barrel mentality. I don't know when we are going to stop pulling down on people's legs when they are trying to do something, when they are trying to improve, rather than pushing up or hunching our backs at that person to climb on so that they can strengthen themselves and then pull you up. If we are not going to practice that, we are going to find ourselves in a very sad situation. It's like everything is a nay on the opposition party. Why cannot there be a SWOT analysis before you start saying no? Let us cast everything out and say, let's look at the strength. What is the strength of having this facility coming to Nevis? What are the weaknesses for having it come here? What opportunities will it present? And what are the threats? And then dismantle each one by one, rather than we base ourselves on rumor mongering and fears and, insecurities. We need to get out of that. We need to act as if we really have an education and use it accordingly.
Thank you very, very much for that, Mavis. We're going to have to leave it there because other people are trying to get in, but I'm very grateful for your input.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. I'm just to announce that the Concerned Citizens Movement is having a grand family event at the VOGN playing field. It will be on National Heroes Day from 1 to 7 p.m. It's a family fun day, so we're asking the parishes to come out to compete for supremacy in tug of war, sack race, lime and spoon, dog and bone. I don't know if many people remember those, but we will be bringing back some of those old times. Just good-natured fun as we commix and commingle at the VOGN playing field. It will be on National Heroes Day. That's September 16th from 1 to 7 p.m. We will have dominoes, card games, and of course a play area for the children. So bring the children, we'll take care of them as well. There'll be lots of food and musical entertainment, and they tell me that the premiere is going to be on the grill. Vendors are welcome, so if you have something that you're selling, you're welcome to come and set up as well. We want it to be all inclusive. We want people to have some fun. I know that I'm going to be on the grill with others, and we will be doing some good quality food, and we want you to come and enjoy yourself. In this party called CCM, when we do something, we give back. So we're not charging people to come to mingle with us. We don't charge people to come and hear what we have to say. CCM is about giving back to our people, showing our people that we love them, we cherish them, we value them. So wherever you are on Nevis, the place to be on September 16th, National Heroes Day, is at the VOGN playing field from 1 to 7 p.m., where we'll have lots of food, music. Bring the children. We have lots of food for them, and we have all the play areas that they can enjoy. And we want to see each parish coming out to compete in tug of war, sack race, lime and spoon, dog and bone, compete in dominoes and cards, and just really have a good fun time. I will be on the grill, and my apron says men can cook. Let's go back to the phones and take some calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. How are you doing?
Good evening to you, my brother. I'm doing well.
It's Taki.
I should say my cousin. How you do?
Yeah, me good.
All right.
Well, Mr. Brantley, I'm calling in tonight to calling on behalf of NEVDIS,
Yes.
supporters of our bank in July and September 27th, 2025 at the funny thing, Mr. Brantley, this thing went off my computer at Martin's Crosswind in Greenbelt.
What's the name of the hotel?
The event center is Martin's Crosswind.
Okay.
In Greenbelt, Maryland. The hotel is next door. Is the Holiday Inn.
Okay.
Let me say it up front. There's two things that's important for this week. Is that on September 7th is the end of the
Special.
The special pricing.
Okay.
Where it's 120 early bird pricing at 120 ends on September 7th, goes up to 130 thereafter, and the hold at the hotel next door ends on the 8th of September.
So let me ask you, do you have to quote a code or just tell them that is an FDC function to get the special rate?
Yes, NEVDIC.
Okay.
Net function.
Right.
I have the list of the honorees.
Yes.
This year we're honoring our founders.
Okay.
The original founding was in 205.
So it's been 20 years this year.
Yes, this is 20 years.
Yes.
The honorees this year are Everton O.B. Elliott as first president, Jasmine Daniel, our second president, Felicia Powell, yours truly, Fitzroy Williams, Dr. Gilbert Daniel, Rona Jones, Dr. Keithley Jones, Shauna Fleming, and Dr. Everson Hull.
So the honorees were all in the leadership of the organization over the years, or they were the founding members?
Most.
Okay.
Most, but it's not necessary to have been in leadership. Just the founding members.
Okay.
So
could you just run through the members again, please, for us? Because I know our people are very grateful to them all. So could you just name the names again?
The honorees are Everton O.V. Elliott, Jasmine Daniel, Felicia Powell, yours truly, Fitzroy Williams, Dr. Gilbert Daniel, Rona Jones, Dr. Keithley Jones, Shauna Fleming, and Dr. Everson Hull.
Excellent.
So that's the list. I don't even need to remind everyone that it's not just a banquet on the Saturday evening on the 27th, but on the 28th there'll be a brunch starting at 12 p.m. goes until New York people leave, and that's usually the highlight. So we're inviting everyone, even those from Nevis, to come and spend a great weekend in Washington, D.C. You can spend the day on Saturday visiting the sites if Trump lets you, and I'm sure you'll have a great time. Another thing is that we've moved it to the later in the month. We've been able to move it later in the month. So this should accommodate those people who have not been able to come in the past because it was clashing too closely with Independence celebration.
Any concerns stuck about the weather at that time? It should still be quite warm, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's cool. I wouldn't say warm. Late September is just, I say cool.
Okay.
A sweater would do.
Okay.
It's not even necessary, but it's not t-shirt weather.
Okay. Got you.
So I won't keep you long.
Well, remind us again about the cost of the event.
The cost is $120. The early bird cost is $120 until September 7th. After September 7th, it goes up to $130. And tickets can be purchased at nev-dc.com. banquet.org.
So I'm a little confused because when you said the 120 and the 130, initially I thought that was the cost of the hotel.
No.
So that's the cost of the ticket.
That's the cost of the ticket for the banquet.
I see. Okay.
The hotel is next door. Now, you don't have to go to that hotel.
Of
there are
course.
other hotels around.
Of course. But it's convenient. Is it walking distance?
It's within 300 feet of the event
Okay.
center.
Fantastic.
And I can tell you, I don't know what price. Whatever price you get is going to be preferential to what the normal price would have been.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you clarified that.
Yes,
okay.
I can tell you that over the years, I've seen the price vary from, I think, 94 up to 120. I don't know what it is.
Okay,
now.
so it's not overly expensive.
No, it's in that range.
Okay, so that weekend then, you said September 27th?
Yes.
Okay, so September 27th, there's the banquet. And on the September 28th, you have a brunch. And those two events together you get for the price of your ticket.
$120.
Okay, excellent.
It should be. I mean, it's so good. It should be about 500, but you know.
Well, at 120, I think that's excellent value for two events. And so that really is good. And just again, very quickly, could you just remind the public, very quickly, what you do with those funds that you're able to raise? Take a minute and tell us.
Over the years, we've donated to many functioning needs. One of our main event in Nevis right now is we every year we donate. We treat the kids. The kids in each school, except the one I think the school Pemberton.
Elizabeth Pemberton Primary.
Elizabeth Pemberton. Mm-hmm. Each school, we find the kid, the child going to high school, who has made the most progress between 5th and 6th grade.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we give those children prizes at the Elizabeth Pemberton School, which is where the late Naomi Daniel taught. We give it to the best performing student.
Oh, so you have a different criteria at that school?
At that school, it's the best performing student.
Okay.
And at other school is the student who makes the most progress between 5th and 6th. Okay. And I think that's very important, Mr. Brantley.
Okay.
Not taking anything away from the best performing student, but I think those students who have something to look forward to.
Yes. So you're rewarding their progress, essentially.
Not just their progress, their effort.
Okay.
It's very easy for the best performing student in 5th grade to become the best performing student in 6th grade. But the kid who comes 20th in 4th grade, if you give that child an incentive, that child might just move up to 5th place in 6th grade.
Yes, got you. Got you. Okay.
I for example came 24th. I remember very well. I came 24th in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
I missed a day. Yes, I missed a test. Yes, but in 4th grade, I was first.
So you went from 24th to first?
Yes, I did miss a test. I was sick one day.
Okay.
But just to tell you, you have to have that incentive for a student to, and it helps. As children, they want to please their parents. They all want to please their parents.
All right. Starkey, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Brantley, for
man.
having me and for giving me the time.
Okay, and we wish the project every success and the event every success.
All right.
All right. Good. It's about 6 minutes to the hour. Let me just take these other calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Hello. Good night, Mark.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Africa.
Yay, Africa. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I mentioned your name just earlier.
I hear you.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, I was calling in to tell you thank you very much, and thanks to the Nevis and Island Administration, thanks to Ms. Janelle Nisbet. Y'all listen to my idea and act speedily on it. And I just want to say thanks publicly, because it was a great help to me, my family, and many others in my situation. And what I've learned is even people with 1 or 2 children going to daycare, they will complain and say, Lord Africa, I could not have paid my daycare fee for sure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they only had like 1 or 2 children,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 1 child in a daycare. And today I got my voucher package where I got new school clothes, school pants. I get about 3 pants, 3 shorts, which is major help to me because, you know, I have 5 children in school, so it was major help to me. I even get asked for bigger size, so just so in case the child, you know, go out of them one, he still got bigger size.
Right.
And then I got a gift certificate to get other supplies, and I did get other supplies, even like, you know, crayon and books and posters and stuff for children.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like to say thanks to everyone who has helped in this way. And what I appreciate the most is the fact that I never, after I expressed it to you the 2 times at the town hall meeting and when you had the community workshop, I've never come back to you. You always would update me like, hey, Africa, we done this, we went to parliament, we went to cabinet, we done this, we done, you know, you keep me updated.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like you to know, you know, I am grateful for that, you know, to be heard and to be recognized even. I'm glad that you recognized me. I was blushing. I was saying to myself, oh my God, ma, call me name.
But let us give, as they say, Jack is jacket. I mean, I remember very, very well, particularly that sit down we had in Hamilton, when we asked for ideas and you said, this is something that you think would be helpful. And what I really admire about you, Africa, and I'll say it publicly, you didn't come with an idea to benefit you alone.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say, like, you know, we got this notion that, oh, you have to benefit me and my family only, but our motto is country above self. So whatever we do is supposed to be beneficial for the country, not just a particular person or whatever. Like, okay, Mark, I just bring in a car. I want $10,000 to clear it, and if you don't give me the 10,000, you're bad. I'm going to vote for you or wherever. We have to know that you have other people that need to be benefited also. So, you know, to look at the broader span of things, I think is most important in developing a country.
Well,
and about the sustainable, I didn't read it, but I'm listening to you, and what people don't understand is you said it publicly on the ear, so then we could hold you accountable if we see these things is not in motion. So I completely understand what you are saying, you know? I understand what you are saying, and that part I understand, you know, because at least we could say, well, Mark, look, you said on this day that if, you know, if they can't fish, they could fish in the sea still, and then when they come home now, they can't fish, we could hold you accountable and say, well, he's a liar, because wherever, but you can't call somebody a liar and, you know, caught them in a lie. I don't understand that.
Well, the banner struck up. We have to go, Africa, but I want to thank you for your call. I am so happy that you brought this program to us and that this program has benefited not just you, but so many others as well. I think a lot of families should feel grateful that you came with the idea and that through that idea, good idea, the government has acted and that people can benefit. So thank you for the call. Unfortunately, we have to go, but I hope that in the future you'll call back in because I love talking to you. You know that.
Yes.
Okay. Take good care.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank
God
you.
bless and all the best to you and the children.
Okay, bye.
All right. As we close off the show, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you that the CCM, the Concerned Citizens Movement, will be having a grand family day affair at the VOGen playing field on National Heroes Day, September 16, from 1 to 7 p.m. We are asking all the constituencies to come out, all the parishes. We have tug of war, sack race, lime and spoon, dog and bone, and there will be dominoes, card games, and a play area for the children. Make sure to bring the children because we have lots of food and drink for everyone, including the children, musical entertainment, and I am told we'll be on the grill. And so you could look forward to some very, very good grilled delicacies. As we know, men can cook. Thank you for those who tuned in, listen to the show. I hope you enjoyed the show this evening and that it was informative. For those who took the opportunity to call, I say thank you. And we look forward to the show being rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on Von Radio. And certainly, we look forward to being back with you, God willing, health permitting, next week, Wednesday, for another edition of On the Mark. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.